The Great Hall of the Galactic Concord stretched for nearly a mile. Thousands of alien species sat in their designated sections, their bodies shaped by evolution on 1,000 different worlds. Some breathed oxygen. Others floated in tanks of liquid methane. A few existed as pure energy, contained in magnetic fields. They had all come together under one government to maintain peace across the galaxy. Ambassador Alara Chun walked through the massive doors with her head held high. She was a small woman with gray streaks in her black hair and calm brown eyes that revealed nothing. Behind her walked two human aides, their footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. 150 years ago, humanity had discovered faster than light travel. They had burst onto the galactic scene like children stumbling into a room full of adults. The elder races had welcomed them with polite smiles and quiet condescension. Humans were classified as Tier 7, the lowest level of species in the Concord. They were considered fragile, short-lived, and technologically primitive. Alara took her seat in the small human section. Around her, the representatives of powerful empires commanded huge territories. The insectoid Vethkai Dominion controlled 3,000 star systems. Their warriors stood 8 feet tall, with armored exoskeletons and blade-like arms. The crystalline Shalvori hegemony had existed for 1,000,000 years. They were beings of living glass who communicated through light patterns. The reptilian Krathan Federation bred armies in great, spawning pools and believed that strength was the only virtue worth having. And then there were the humans. 12 colony worlds. 200 ships in their defense fleet. A population of barely 30 billion across all their territories. The Vethkai High Commander, Zethron, clicked his mandibles as Alara passed. The translation device in her ear converted his speech. Ambassador Chun, I trust your little worlds are doing well? Still focusing on your medical research, I hope? It suits your kind. Healing is a gentle profession for a gentle species. Alara smiled. It was the smile she had practiced for decades. Warm, humble, unthreatening. Thank you, High Commander. We are happy to contribute what we can. Your warriors do the difficult work of protecting the Concord. We are grateful. Zethron made a sound that his species used to show superiority. Indeed. Stay behind our battle lines, Ambassador. We would hate for your people to get hurt. Alara nodded and continued to her seat. Her aide, a young man named David Torres, leaned close. His jaw was tight with anger. How do you stand it? The way they talk to us? With patience, Alara said softly. And perspective. She did not explain further. David was young. He had not yet been told about the Veil Doctrine. The Veil Doctrine was humanity's greatest secret. It had been created 80 years ago by the United Terran Coalition, the government that ruled all human worlds. The doctrine was simple. Humanity would hide its true capabilities until absolutely necessary. They would appear weak. They would accept insults. They would let the galaxy believe that humans were harmless, because the leaders of humanity understood something important. They knew what humans really were. They had studied their own history, the endless wars, the weapons of mass destruction, the capacity for both incredible kindness and terrible violence. Humans were not a gentle species. They were a species that had learned to wear gentleness like a mask. The Concord Council session began. Representatives argued about trade routes and border disputes. Alara participated when necessary, always agreeing, always compromising, always appearing reasonable and weak. After the session, she returned to the human embassy. It was a small building compared to the grand structures of the elder races. Inside, she walked past the reception area, past the offices where human diplomats worked on cultural exchanges and medical aid programs, and into a private elevator that required her retinal scan voice print. and DNA sample to operate. The elevator descended for a long time. Deep beneath, the embassy was a room that officially did not exist. Screens covered every wall, showing data feeds from across human space. Military officers in crisp uniforms monitored the information. Admiral Marcus Stone stood waiting for her. He was a tall man with a shaved head and eyes that had seen too much combat. "Ambassador, how was the council?" "The usual," Alara said. "The Vethkai reminded us of our place. The Shalvori ignored us completely. The Kraken suggested we might make acceptable servants. And you smiled through all of it. That is my job, Admiral." Alara looked at the screens. They showed the true human fleet. Not 200 ships. 23,000 warships, hidden in asteroid fields, disguised as civilian transports, or simply made invisible by technology that the Concord did not know existed. "Any changes?" "Production is on schedule. The new Dreadnought class will be ready in 6 months. Weapons research has made another breakthrough with the gravity lance system." Stone paused. "Some of the younger officers are getting restless. They do not like hiding." "No one likes hiding," Alara said. "But it is necessary. The galaxy is not ready to see what we really are. And honestly, neither are we." She thought about Earth's history. The 2 world wars that killed hundreds of millions. The nuclear weapons that could have destroyed everything. The genetic conflicts that tore societies apart. Humanity had nearly wiped itself out a dozen times. They had only survived by learning to control their violent nature, to channel it, to hide it behind civilization. "We came to the stars hoping to be different," Alara continued. "We wanted to be the doctors and the teachers and the peacemakers. We wanted to prove that we were more than our history. And if we cannot be those things?" Stone asked. "If the galaxy forces us to show our true face." Before Alara could answer, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed across the command center. Officers rushed to their stations. "What is happening?" Alara demanded. A young lieutenant looked up from her screen. Her face was pale. "Ambassador, we are receiving emergency transmissions from the Galactic Rim. 3 frontier worlds have been destroyed. Completely destroyed. Billions dead. Which empire attacked?" Stone asked. The lieutenant shook her head. "Not an empire, sir. The transmissions mention something else. Something from outside our galaxy." She swallowed hard. "They call themselves the Zernethi Collective." "Sir, according to these reports, they are not here to conquer. They are here to consume. Everything." Alara and Stone exchanged a look. Both of them understood what this might mean. "Contact Earth," Alara said quietly. "Inform the Coalition Council. The veil may need to be lifted. Far away, on the edge of known space, a swarm of living ships blotted out the stars. They moved like a plague, like a hunger given form. They had crossed the void between galaxies searching for life. They had found it, and they were very, very hungry." The Vethkai War Fleet was the most powerful military force in the known galaxy. 12,000 warships, each one carrying enough firepower to turn a planet into ash. They had never lost a major battle in 300 years. They lost 40% of their fleet in 4 hours. High Commander Zethron stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched his empire die. The Zernethi did not fight like any enemy he had ever faced. Their ships were alive. They were massive creatures of flesh and bone and dark organic metal, some of them miles long. When his weapons hit them, they bled. And then they healed. Every wound closed within minutes. Every destroyed section regrew. Worse, they learned. The first wave of Vethkai attacks had been effective. The second wave was less so. By the third wave, the Zernethi had adapted completely. Weapons that had destroyed their ships now barely scratched them. "Fall back," Zethron ordered. All ships, fall back to the secondary defense line. His fleet ran. Behind them, the Zernethi consumed the worlds they had been protecting. Billions of Vethkai citizens died screaming as the swarm descended on their planets. Across the galaxy, the story was the same. The Shalvori sent their most ancient weapons, devices that had ended wars 1,000,000 years ago. The Zernethi adapted within days. The Krathen threw wave after wave of their warrior breeds at the invaders. The Zernethi ate them and grew stronger. The Galactic Concord called an emergency summit on Sanctuary Prime, the capital world of the Alliance. Every species sent representatives. The Great Hall that usually buzzed with political games was now filled with fear. "We must combine our fleets," shouted the Krathen War Master. "Hit them with everything at once." "We have tried combined attacks," the Shalvari Elder replied, a crystalline body flickering with worried light patterns. "They adapt to our weapons faster than we can develop new ones. For every ship we destroy, they grow 2 more from the biomass of our dead. Then we retreat, abandon the outer territories, and consolidate our forces." Retreat to where? They will follow. They will always follow. They are not interested in territory. They want to consume all life in this galaxy. The arguments continued for hours. Alara Chun sat in the human section and listened. The elder races blamed each other for failures. They accused each other of not committing enough forces. Old hatreds and old rivalries poisoned every attempt at cooperation. Finally, she stood. The Great Hall fell silent. Many of the alien representatives looked annoyed. What could the weak little human possibly have to say? "Honored representatives," Alara said. "Humanity wishes to offer our assistance in this fight. We have ships and soldiers ready to deploy. We want to help." High Commander Zethron made a harsh clicking sound. His translator interpreted it as bitter laughter. "Your assistance? Ambassador, I have seen your fleet. Your little patrol boats would be devoured in seconds. Your soldiers would be snacks for the Zernethi drones. With respect, High Commander, every ship counts in a fight like this. We are willing to die uselessly?" Zethron interrupted. "Stay behind our lines, human. Hide on your little worlds. Let the real warriors handle this. If we fall, perhaps the Zernethi will overlook you. You are so small that they might not even notice you exist." Laughter rippled through the hall. Other species joined in the mockery. The humans were a joke. Everyone knew it. What could they possibly contribute? Alara bowed her head. "As you wish, High Commander. We will do what we can to stay out of your way." She sat down. David Torres leaned close, his face red with humiliation. "Ambassador, how can you accept this? They are laughing at us." "Let them laugh," Alara whispered. Her hand moved under the table, typing a coded message on a hidden device. "Their laughter will end soon enough." The message went out through secret channels, bounced through a dozen relay stations, and reached Earth in minutes. It contained only a few words. Veil Protocol. Request elevation to Stage 2. Hours later, a response came back. Stage 2 authorized. Prepare for possible full revelation. Humanity began to move. Not openly. Not yet. But in the hidden shipyards and secret military bases scattered across human space, officers received new orders. Ships that had been sleeping for decades powered up their engines. Weapon systems that had never been tested in real combat came online to maintain appearances. Humanity sent a token force to help defend the Shalvori border. 50 ships, old and outdated by Concord standards. They joined the combined fleet and took their position at the very back of the formation, where they would be safe from the fighting. The battle for the Shalvori border world of Kethful was a disaster. The combined Concord fleet outnumbered the Xanthi 3-1. It did not matter. The living ships adapted, evolved, and slaughtered. Concorde vessels exploded by the hundreds. Escape pods were scooped up and consumed. The human ships fired their weapons alongside the others. Their shots seemed weak, barely scratching Zernethi armor. The enemy fleet's tactical intelligence noted the humans briefly. Species designation human. Threat assessment. Negligible. Recommendation. Ignore. The Zernethi had made many calculations since arriving in this galaxy. They had assessed every species, every weapon, every defensive capability. They were intelligent enough to identify threats and eliminate them. First, they did not consider humans a threat. This was the first mistake the Zernethi had ever made. After the battle, Alara received a full briefing in the hidden command center beneath the embassy. The losses were catastrophic. The combined fleet had been cut in half. The Zernethi had lost perhaps 5% of their forces, all of which were already regenerating. They are moving towards Sanctuary Prime, Admiral Stone reported. At their current speed, they will reach the capital world in 6 days. The remaining Concorde fleet cannot stop them. How many people live on Sanctuary Prime? Alara asked. 12 billion. Ilara closed her eyes. 12 billion souls. 12 billion thinking, feeling beings who would be consumed by an endless hunger. Children, families, entire civilizations that had existed for millions of years. Contact Earth, she said. Tell them we need full authorization. Tell them. She paused, feeling the weight of the moment. Tell them it is time. The veil must fall. In the depths of space, the Zernethi Hive Admiral directed its fleet toward the glowing heart of the Galactic Concorde. It had consumed 100 galaxies before this one. It had never failed. This galaxy was rich with life, with energy, with everything the collective needed to grow stronger. The Hive Admiral felt something that might have been satisfaction. In a few short weeks, this galaxy would be empty. All life would be absorbed into the collective. It would be beautiful. The Hive Admiral did not notice the tiny human ships at the edge of its awareness. Why would it? They were nothing. They were prayed out far away. Ambassador Alara Chun received a message from Earth. 3 words that would change everything. Stage 3. Authorized. The mask was about to come off. And the galaxy would finally see what humanity had been hiding for 150 years. Sanctuary Prime was dying before the enemy had even arrived. The great capital world of Galactic Concorde had begun its evacuation, but there was no way to save everyone. Transport ships filled with refugees fled in all directions. Billions more waited on the surface, watching the sky and praying to whatever gods they believed in the great hall of the Concorde. The alliance was falling apart. Species that had cooperated for thousands of years now turned on each other. The Krathen accused the Vethkai of cowardice. The Shalvori demanded that other races sacrifice their fleets to buy time for Shalvori civilians to escape. Old enemies remembered old grudges. Unity crumbled into chaos. High Commander Zethron stood before the council, his proud posture broken by defeat. His mandibles clicked nervously as he spoke. We have done everything we can. Our fleets are shattered. Our weapons are useless. I recommend that each species focus on evacuating their own people. The Concorde is finished. The words fell like stones into water. Thousands of years of cooperation ended in a single sentence. Ambassador Alara Chun stood up. This time, she did not ask permission to speak. Her voice carried across the hall, clear and calm. The Concorde is not finished. Not yet. Zethron turned to her with something close to pity in his alien eyes. Ambassador, please. This is not the time for human optimism. We appreciate your spirit, but words cannot stop the Zernethi. You are right, Alara said. Words cannot stop them. But I did not come here to offer words. She walked to the center of the hall, where a massive holographic display showed the current position of the Zarnethi fleet. The swarm was enormous, tens of thousands of living ships moving towards Sanctuary Prime like a wave of death. For 150 years, Alara said, humanity has shown this Concord only what we wished you to see. We presented ourselves as weak, as harmless, as a minor species barely worth noticing. She paused. We lied. Confused murmurs spread through the hall. Zethron stepped forward. What are you saying, Ambassador? I am saying that humanity did not survive on Earth by being gentle. Our world was not kind to us. We fought every day for millions of years. We fought our environment. We fought predators. Most of all, we fought each other. Elara's voice grew harder. We developed weapons that could crack our planet in half. We nearly destroyed ourselves a dozen times. We learned that the most dangerous thing in any room was another human being. The hall had gone silent. Every alien eye was fixed on this small human woman. When we discovered that we were not alone in the universe, we made a choice. We decided to hide what we really were. We hoped that we could become something better. Doctors instead of soldiers. Teachers instead of warriors. We wanted to prove that our violent history did not define us. Alara shook her head slowly. But history does not disappear just because you wish it would. And sometimes, the universe does not let you choose who you want to be. She touched a control on her wrist. 150 years of hiding. 150 years of insults and mockery, and being called weak. It ends now. The holographic display flickered. New data began to appear. Across human space, thousands of hidden transmitters activated. Holographic projections that had disguised human installations dissolved. Sensor-blocking fields shut down. The true face of humanity revealed itself to the galaxy. The Shalvari Elder made a sound like breaking glass. A translator interpreted it as shock beyond words. On the display, human colony worlds transformed. What had appeared to be simple civilian settlements now showed massive orbital defense platforms. Each platform bristled with weapons that did not match any known Concord technology. Ground-based installations revealed themselves as fortress complexes, with enough firepower to hold off entire fleets. But the ships were what made the Concord representative stop. Breathing, not 200 patrol vessels. 23,000 warships, carriers, battleships, destroyers, dreadnoughts. They emerged from asteroid fields and hidden bases in the dark spaces between stars where no one had thought to look. Some were the size of small moons. Numbers scrolled across the display as the true scale of humanity's hidden. Military appeared. Combat personnel, 800 million trained soldiers. Ground vehicles, 2.3 million tanks and armored units. Atmospheric fighters, 6.7 million. Warships, 23,847. Dreadnought-class vessels, 144. Weapons, development programs, 847 active projects. Current military budget, 34% of total human economic output. High Commander Zethron stared at the numbers. His translator struggled to convey his emotions. This is impossible. Our intelligence services monitored your species for over a century. We saw your shipyards. We counted your vessels. How did you hide this? You saw what we wanted you to see, Alara said simply. Your intelligence services are very good, High Commander. But human intelligence services are better. We have been playing this game for much longer than you realize. A Krathan War Master rose from his seat. His scales had turned pale with shock. Those weapons on your platforms. Those ships. The energy signatures. That technology is beyond anything we possess. Beyond anything anyone possesses. Humans are creative, Alara replied. Give us a problem, and we will solve it. Give us an enemy, and we will find a way to kill it. That is what we do. That is what we have always done. She turned to face the full council. Her expression was no longer humble, no longer gentle. For the first time, the representatives of the Galactic Concord saw a human without a mask. The Zernethi adapt to your weapons. They regenerate from your attacks. They consume and grow stronger. Alara smiled, and there was nothing warm about it. Humans have faced adaptive enemies before. We invented adaptive warfare. Our weapons do not just destroy. They prevent regeneration. They poison biomass. They turn the enemy's greatest strengths into weaknesses. Admiral Stone's voice came through the communication system. Ambassador, the First Fleet is ready for deployment. 1,500 ships standing by. Deploy them, Alara said. Target: the Zernethi Armada. Zethron grabbed her arm. His grip was strong enough to crush bone, but Alara did not flinch. Ambassador, wait. This fleet of yours, these weapons. If you had this power all along, why did you hide? Why did you let us fight alone? Why did you let us die? Alara looked at his claw on her arm until he released her. Because we were afraid, High Commander. Not of the Zernethi. Not of you. We were afraid of ourselves. She turned back to the display. We have seen what humans can do when they stop holding back. We have seen cities turned to glass. We have seen populations erased. We have seen the face of total war. She watched as the First Fleet's position appeared on the display, moving toward the Zernethi Armada at impossible speeds. Today, the Zernethi will learn what we have always known. There is nothing in this galaxy more dangerous than a human being with nothing left to lose. The Zernethi Hive Merrill sensed the approaching fleet. It analyzed the new vessels with curiosity. These ships were different from the others. Larger, stranger. The energy signatures did not match anything in its database. For the first time in its ancient existence, the Hive Admiral felt something it did not recognize. Later, it would learn that the feeling was called fear. The Terran First Fleet emerged from hyperspace like wolves appearing from a dark forest. 1,500 warships arranged in perfect attack formation. At their center flew the TN's Defiance, a dreadnought-class vessel 3 kilometers long. Its hull was covered in weapon systems that glowed with barely contained energy. Admiral Marcus Stone stood on the bridge, looking at the Zernethi Armada ahead. Tens of thousands of living ships, each one a nightmare of teeth and armor and organic weapons. They blotted out the stars like a spreading stain. Open a channel, Stone ordered. All frequencies. Let them hear us. His communications officer nodded. Channel open, sir. Stone's voice went out across space, transmitted to every ship in both fleets and every receiver on Sanctuary Prime below. Zernethi Collective. I am Admiral Marcus Stone of the United Terran Coalition. You have attacked worlds under humanity's protection. You have killed beings we swore to defend. You will withdraw from this galaxy immediately. He paused, letting the words settle. Or you will be removed. The Zernethi did not bother to respond with words. They attacked. The first wave came screaming across space. Thousands of living ships firing organic projectiles and energy beams. They had faced dozens of species in this galaxy. They had adapted to every weapon. They had consumed every defense. The human fleet held position. All ships, Stone commanded, weapons free. Space turned white. The human ships did not fire normal weapons. Their primary systems used principles that the Concord had never imagined. Gravity lances tore holes in reality itself, crushing Zernethi vessels into points of infinite density. Quantum disruptors broke down molecular bonds, causing living ships to simply fall apart. Antimatter warheads detonated inside enemy hulls, leaving nothing behind. But the most devastating weapons were the ones designed specifically for this enemy. Human scientists had studied every piece of data on the Xanathi. They had analyzed their regeneration abilities, their adaptive systems, their biological processes. And then they had created weapons to destroy those processes completely. Regeneration blocking. Missiles injected viral payloads that prevented Xanathi biomass from healing. Adaptation disruptors broadcast signals that scrambled the enemy's evolutionary responses. Bioacid torpedoes ate through living armor and spread through connected tissue. The Xanathi had never faced anything like this. They tried to adapt, but the humans had prepared for that too. Every time the enemy adjusted to one weapon, the human fleet switched to another. They had hundreds of weapon systems, each one designed to counter a different adaptation. On Sanctuary Prime, the Galactic Concorde watched in stunned silence. Their displays showed the battle in real time. Xanathi ships died by the thousands. Human vessels moved with perfect coordination, each one supporting the others. No wasted shots, no hesitation. Their tactics, High Commander Zethron whispered. They fight like they have done this 1,000,000 times. The Shalvori Elder flickered with pale light. They have. Not against the Xanathi. Against each other. They have been preparing for war since they first picked up stones and learned to throw them. The battle raged for 4 hours. The Xanathi threw everything they had at the human fleet. They sent their largest bioships, creatures the size of asteroids. Human dreadnoughts tore them apart with focused gravitational beams. They launched swarms of fighters, millions of small organisms designed to overwhelm defenses. Human point defense systems turned them into clouds of organic debris. For the first time in their existence, the Xanathi were losing. And they did not know how to lose. The Hive Admiral felt something it had never experienced before: desperation. It broadcast a command to all its vessels: retreat, fall back, regroup. There would be other prey. This galaxy could be abandoned, but the humans did not let them run. Hunter-killer squadrons broke away from the main fleet, pursuing fleeing Xanathi vessels. They were faster, more maneuverable, and utterly relentless. Ships that tried to escape were tracked down and destroyed. No mercy. No quarter. Admiral, a tactical officer reported, "The enemy is attempting to scatter. Should we let them go?" Stone watched the display. If even one Xanathi ship escaped, it could rebuild the entire collective. They could return in a century or a millennium and threaten the galaxy again. Humanity had learned this lesson many times in their own history. An enemy you do not finish will come back stronger. No retreats, Stone said. No survivors. Hunt them all. The human fleet spread across space like a net, catching every escaping ship. The slaughter was systematic and complete. On the surface of 3 liberated worlds, human ground forces deployed. Drop pods fell from orbit, carrying soldiers and powered exoskeleton armor. Each suit multiplied a soldier's strength 10 times and contained enough weapons to level a building. The Xanathi had left drones behind to harvest the remaining populations. Millions of creatures with claws and fangs and endless hunger. The human soldiers met them head-on. The fighting was brutal and close. Human soldiers used plasma rifles to burn through swarms of drones. When their weapons overheated, they used vibroblades. When their blades broke, they used their armored fists. They fought in ruined cities and burning forests and the depths of alien oceans. Vethkai observation team watched a group of human soldiers fight for 18 straight hours without rest. They saw humans joking with each other between firefights. They saw soldiers laughing as they charged into enemy positions. They saw wounded humans refuse evacuation and keep fighting until they physically could not move. The Vethkai observers would later write reports that their commanders refused to believe. Humans did not just fight. They enjoyed it. There was something in them that came alive in battle. Something ancient and hungry that matched the Jarnethi's own hunger. The difference was that humans could control it. They could turn it on and off like a switch. They could be gentle and kind one moment and become perfect killing machines the next. This terrified the Vethkai more than anything else. Back in space, the Hive Admiral made one last desperate attack. It gathered its remaining ships and charged directly at the TN's Defiance. If it could destroy the human flagship, perhaps the enemy would break. Admiral Stone watched the attack coming. He did not flinch. "All forward batteries," he ordered. "Fire at will." The Defiance unleashed everything it had. The Hive Admiral's ship was massive, but it died screaming. Its death cry broadcast across all frequencies, a sound of pure agony that every species in the galaxy heard. And then there was silence. The last Zarnethi vessel in Concord space floated dead in the void. The battle was over. The war was won. Stone looked out at the debris field that had once been unstoppable armada. Trillions of tons of dead biomass drifted among the stars. In a single day, humanity had done what the entire Galactic Concord could not accomplish in months. Ambassador Alara Chun's voice came through the communication system. "Admiral." "What now?" Stone turned away from the viewport. His face was tired but satisfied. "Now we go home. Now we help rebuild what was lost." He paused. "And now we wait to see if the galaxy is more afraid of the Cernethi or of us." Around human space, 23,000 warships held position. 800 million soldiers stood ready. Weapons that could crack planets waited in silence. Humanity had shown its true face. And now the galaxy had to decide what that meant. 2 weeks after the Battle of Sanctuary Prime, the Galactic Concord gathered once again. The Great Hall was full, every species represented, but the atmosphere was completely different from before. There was no arguing, no accusations, only a heavy, watchful silence. Ambassador Alar Chun walked to the center of the hall. Every alien eye followed her. She looked smaller than ever standing there alone, a single human woman surrounded by representatives of civilizations that had existed for millions of years. But no one laughed this time. No one made jokes about the weak little humans. "Thank you for allowing me to speak," Alara began. She paused, gathering her thoughts. "I know that many of you have questions. I know that many of you are afraid. You have seen what humanity can do. You watched us destroy an enemy that your combined forces could not stop. You have every right to wonder what this means." She looked around the hall, meeting alien eyes that quickly looked away. "Let me tell you a story. 20,000 years ago, my ancestors lived in caves. They had no fire, no tools, no language. They were prey animals, hunted by predators that were faster and stronger. By every logical measure, they should have died out." Alara smiled softly. They did not. Instead, they learned. They made weapons from stones and sticks. They tamed fire. They developed language and cooperation and something that no other species on Earth had, the ability to imagine. They could picture things that did not exist and then make them real. They imagined safety and built walls. They imagined warmth and built houses. They imagined power and built empires. But imagination has a dark side. Humans could also imagine war. We imagined weapons of terrible destruction. We imagined cruelty that served no survival purpose. For most of our history, our greatest threat was not the natural world. It was each other. The hall was completely silent. Representatives who had never shown interest in human history were now listening with complete attention. "We created weapons that could destroy our entire planet," Ilara continued. "We came close to using them many times. We fought wars that killed hundreds of millions of our own kind. We developed ways to kill each other faster, more efficiently, more completely. And through it all, we kept imagining. We imagined even more terrible weapons, even more effective ways to destroy. She let the words hang in the air. When we discovered that we were not alone in the universe, we were faced with a choice. We could bring our weapons and our wars to the stars. We could do to the galaxy what we had done to our own world. She shook her head. We chose not to. We created the Veil Doctrine. We hid our military. We presented ourselves as harmless because we did not want to be what our history said we were. High Commander Zethron rose from his seat. His mandibles clicked slowly. Why are you telling us this, Ambassador? Are you trying to make us less afraid? Because it is not working. No, High Commander. I am telling you this because you deserve to understand. Alara looked at him directly. We hid our weapons because we were ashamed of them. We took your insults and your mockery because we thought it was a fair price to pay for the chance to be different. We wanted to be the doctors and the teachers and the diplomats. We wanted to prove that humans could be more than warriors. And now? The Shalvori elder asked. Her crystalline body glowed with uncertain light. What do you want now that we have seen your true capabilities? The same thing? Alara said quietly. We still want to be the helpers and the healers. We still want to build rather than destroy. But we have learned something from this war. She walked slowly around the center of the hall, looking at each delegation. Some beings must carry the sword so that others can carry the olive branch. Some must be willing to fight so that others can live in peace. Humanity tried to escape this role. We tried to pretend that we were not what we are. The Zernethi taught us that we cannot escape our nature. We can only choose how to use it. So here is what humanity offers. We will be your shield. When threats come from beyond the galaxy, we will face them. When enemies rise that cannot be defeated with words, we will defeat them with weapons. We will do the terrible things so that the rest of you do not have to. She stopped in the center of the hall again. In return, we ask only this. Let us also be your partners. Let us contribute to your science and your art and your medicine. Let us prove that we can create as well as destroy. Give us the chance to be both the sword and the hand that heals. The hall remained silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, the Shalvori elder rose. Her body sang with light as her translator spoke her words. My people have existed for 1 million years. We have seen empires rise and fall. We have watched species destroy themselves and others. In all that time, we have never encountered a species quite like humanity. She paused. You terrify us. Your capacity for violence is beyond anything we have ever seen. But so is your capacity for growth. In 150 years, you went from primitive weapons to technology that exceeds our own. In a single day, you accomplished what we could not do in months. She moved closer to Alara. The Shalvori hegemony accepts humanity's offer. We will stand beside you as partners and allies. And we will hope that the universe never forces you to show us the full extent of what you can do. One by one, other species rose and pledged their support. The Vethkai, the Krafen, dozens of others. Species that had mocked humanity for a century and a half now spoke of partnership and respect. High Commander Zethron was the last to rise. He walked to where Alara stood and looked down at her with his compound eyes. Ambassador, I spent many years treating your species as inferior. I was wrong. The Vethkai Dominion pledges its alliance to humanity. He paused. I would ask one question, if I may. Of course, High Commander. When we mocked you, when we insulted you, when we called you weak and useless. His mandibles clicked with what might have been embarrassment. Did you ever want to show us what you could really do? Alara smiled. It was a real smile, not the diplomatic mask she had worn for so long. Every single day, High Commander. Every single day. The Galactic Concord created a new classification that day. Every species in the Alliance was assigned a threat tier from 7 to 1. Humanity was assigned Tier 0, a level that had never existed before. The official documentation for the classification contained only 3 words: do not engage. Later that night, Alara stood on the observation deck, looking at Earth through a viewport. The blue and green planet hung in the darkness, beautiful and fragile. Admiral Stone stood beside her. "Well," Stone said, "we did it. The veil is gone. The galaxy knows what we are." "Yes," Alara agreed. "The question now is what we become." "What do you mean?" Alara watched a civilian transport ship pass peacefully overhead, carrying settlers to one of the outer colonies. For 150 years, we held back the monsters inside us. We proved that we could be gentle. Now the galaxy has seen the monsters. They respect us. They fear us. She sighed. I hope we do not start to enjoy that fear. I hope we remember that the goal was always to put the monsters away, not to set them free. Stone considered this for a long moment. We have been fighting our own nature since we climbed down from the trees. I think we can keep doing it. You sound very confident. I am confident. Stone nodded toward the transport ship. Look at that vessel. Families, children, people starting new lives on new worlds. That is what we fight for. Not glory, not conquest. Just a chance for ordinary people to live ordinary lives. He smiled. As long as we remember that, I think the monsters stay leashed. Alara watched the ship disappear into the distance. Maybe Stone was right. Maybe humanity could walk the line between protector and destroyer. Maybe they could be the shield without becoming the sword that never stops swinging. Or maybe not. Humanity had surprised the galaxy once. They might surprise it again, for better or worse. But that was a problem for another day dot in the weeks that followed. A new saying spread across the galaxy. Ships carried it from system to system. Traders whispered it in spaceports. Children learned it in schools. It was a warning, a comfort, and a truth all at once. Pray you never see humanity's true face. Pray they never have reason to show it. But if darkness comes, pray that humans are standing between you and the night. Across 1,000 worlds, alien species looked up at the stars and thought about the strange, terrifying, wonderful beings called humans. They were monsters. They were healers. They were the most dangerous thing the galaxy had ever seen. And for now, at least, they were on everyone's side. The story of humanity was far from over. But this chapter had ended well. For now, that was enough.